My advice to anyone seeing this video right now is to do not, and I repeat, do not come to Canada unless you are prepared for these things. If you guys are new here, welcome back to another video. My name is Dems, a Jamaican immigrant who migrated to Canada. So if you guys are thinking of moving to Canada as well, let me just backtrack a little bit. I am not saying do not come to Canada. I am saying be prepared for these things if you are thinking of moving to Canada. Oftentimes, a lot of persons make the decision to come to Canada, and the reality versus expectation is also always far apart. Oftentimes, people expect certain things, and then when they get to Canada, they realize that, listen, it's not what they expected. So to prevent yourself from falling into this trap, make sure that you are prepared adequately if you're moving to Canada. And let me begin. The first thing I'd like to say is if you guys are seeing my face for the first time, if you guys are seeing this channel for the first time, please take a second to hit that subscribe button. If you like this kind of content, if you like to learn more about Canada immigration from a personal point of view, please join our community. Take your time, hit that like button if you like this kind of content, and let your comments be known in the comment section. Now let's begin. A lot of times people move to Canada and they expect that as soon as they get off the plane, it's gonna be milk and honey. Let me tell you guys this. That's not the case. Canada is like anywhere else in the world. You have to work, and you have to work very hard in order to achieve things in life. Nothing is gonna be easy, but as long as you're prepared to work, as long as you're prepared to grind, as long as you're prepared to put in the shift, you're gonna definitely be able to reap the rewards. One of the things that I personally love about Canada is once you put in the work, once you put in that dedication and discipline and determination, more often than not, you're going to reap the rewards. More often than not, you're going to see success. And that is one of the big things that I personally experienced in my own life. And I know a lot of immigrants who share a similar story. But a lot of times people come and they expect that things are going to be easy and then they don't work as hard as they should. And then they want to reap the rewards. Sorry to disappoint you guys, but that's not going to be the case. You're going to have to work, and you're going to have to work really hard in order to get to where you want to get to in this country. Now, the other thing that I'd like to say that you guys have to be prepared for is the possibility of starting over. I cannot emphasize that enough. You are in your home country. You are probably established. You have your house, you have your car, you probably have a business, whatever the case may be. And a lot of times persons make the transition to Canada and they expect that as soon as they land, they're going to be in a similar or even a better position than where they were in their home country. But that's not always the case. Sometimes you're going to have to start over from zero, from negative, because you're coming to a new country, you're coming to a new environment, and it simply means that your work experience back home, whilst it might be counted sometimes, it's not always going to be counted. The most valuable thing you'll experience is Canadian experience in the workplace. So if it is that you are planning to come to Canada, know that there's a possibility that you might have to start over from zero. You might have to take some time, unless you are loaded. Again, we're talking to the average immigrant. We're not talking to the immigrant who have a lot of money saved up and can just move to the country and buy a car immediately after landing, or the immigrant who is going to be able to buy a house as soon as they land. I'm talking to the average immigrant who's have to come here and work. You're going to have to be prepared to take a couple steps backward in order to go many steps forward. And many immigrants don't always expect that, don't always realize that that's the case, and it often catch them by shock. Yes. Sometimes you are used to driving, you're not used to taking the bus anymore. You come to Canada and then you are gonna have to be riding the bus sometimes. You're gonna have to be walking some places. Depending on the city, you're gonna have to be taking the train. So be prepared for that. Be prepared for that. And know the reasons why you are migrating and make sure that they are genuine reasons, because every society has its challenges and its advantages. So make sure that you are not looking for a fictitious or a superstitious experience, but a factual experience. A lot of times persons are managers back home and they have to come to Canada, and have to be working in an entry-level position to get that experience to get back to where they were or to pass where they were in their home country. And a lot of times immigrants make the mistake of just wanting a straight swap, but that's not always the case. Now, Another thing you should be prepared for is the weather. Now, I say the weather, and many of you guys watching this right now, probably all of you guys watching this right now, you guys probably heard it all the time. Canada is a cold country. Canada gets snow. There is 4 seasons in Canada. You probably hear this all the time. But I don't know why. We always underestimate how cold it really is. How bipolar the weather really is. How much the winter time can be impactful on your health. From not just a cold perspective, but from like a mental health perspective and seasonal depression and all of these other factors that comes with winter. And it always seems to catch immigrants off guard. Don't let that be you. Do not move to Canada unless you are properly prepared to experience all the seasons of Canada, including winter. Now, in the winter time, depending on where in Canada you are, it can be a lot of darkness, meaning that some places only get 4 hours of sunshine throughout winter, 5 hours depending on where you are, and some places no hours of sunshine for certain parts of winter. So it's gonna be dark. You're gonna be going to work in the dark. You're gonna be going home in the dark. It's just how it is. It's Canada. It's how it is. Be prepared for that. And be prepared for the impact it's gonna have on your body. A lot of persons come and they don't realize that, okay then, stuff like your vitamin D levels will be grossly impacted. Make sure you're taking your vitamins. It's not just a saying, it's actually a real thing. Your vitamins are key in the winter time. Make sure you're taking your vitamins because it's gonna be pretty much challenging for your first winter. You're going to learn how to drive in the winter. You're going to learn how to adapt to the cold and all of these factors. So don't let those things catch you off guard. And the other thing is invest in proper clothing. Invest in proper clothing. That's one of the biggest investments you can make for yourself throughout the winter time, because there's no such thing as bad weather. There's only bad clothing. So make sure you're doing your research. See what the average temperatures are like where you are heading, and make sure that you are getting the proper garments, clothes, shoes, gloves, mittens, whatever case may be, that is needed for your city that you are going. The other thing that I want to tell you guys, not to move to Canada until you have done this, is to do some research about credit. Learn about credit. Learn how credit can impact your life in Canada from a positive perspective and also from a negative perspective. If you're an immigrant to Canada, you're probably somebody like me who's coming from a country where credit wasn't really a big thing, like your credit score and like, you know, all of those little nuances. It wasn't a term that I was probably like need to even focus on until coming to Canada. And a lot of immigrants make the mistake of moving to Canada, not understanding credit, and then get burned. Do not let that be you. Do your research. There's enough information on the internet, not just through YouTube videos, but also in the society, online. You can go into a bank, you can talk to a representative. You don't even have to do a transaction. You can just go to a bank, ask to speak to a financial advisor or a personal banker, and have them advise you about good credit practices and bad credit practices at free of cost. Free of cost. So listen, you can do it. You can set up yourself for success by doing things properly. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Make sure that you are doing these things to give yourself the best chance of success. If it is that you're moving to Canada as a new immigrant, it's mental. It's going to be mentally draining. You're going to be lonely a lot of the times, because coming to a new country, your friends and families are going to be back in your home country. You're going to have to start building new relationships. You're going to understand the value of your network. You're going to start understanding the value of having people around you. You're going to start understanding things that you probably took for granted back in your home. So be prepared for that. And that is why I'm saying don't move to Canada. But let's fix it. Do not move to Canada until you have done these things. I would say 100% come to Canada. And if you think this video is informative, if you think this video gave you any form of value, please take a second right now and just touch that like button for me, please. And if you found any form of motivation, inspiration, or value from my content, please subscribe to the Anderson's Family channel. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will definitely see you guys in the next video.